Welcome. Tonight we will journey to the northern edge of Roman Britain, nearly 2,000 years ago, where a great stone wall slowly stretched across hills and valleys. Hadrian's Wall, as it is known today, was not merely a line of defense. It was a vast project of labor, discipline, and endurance, carried out by ordinary soldiers in a quiet, steady rhythm. We will not rush through battles or dramatic stories. Instead, we will pause among the men who built it. Listening to their footsteps on damp earth, the soft ring of chisels on stone, and the sigh of wind across the moors. In their world of work, of meals and watches, of rain and mist, we may find a slower, quieter history. So let us begin. Allow your thoughts to soften as we walk together along the frontier, where stone was lifted day by day into something enduring. Imagine the dawn on the frontier. The camp is waking, the ground wet with dew. A thin fire is coaxed to life, its smoke curling into the gray morning. Soldiers eat a simple meal barley porridge, perhaps a piece of bread or a handful of dried fruit. It is plain, but enough to carry them into the long hours ahead. The work begins with steady, measured effort. Trenches are cut, foundations laid. Stones are lifted into place, one after another, the rhythm unbroken. Orders are called out in Latin, though many tongues are spoken: Hiergalish, Germanic, Iberian. The wall grows in fragments. Here a trench, there a rising section of masonry. Wooden scaffolding leans against the stone, creaking in the wind. The weather is ever present. Rain comes often, soaking tunics and cloaks. The wind moves across the hills, carrying the scent of wet earth and heather. On clearer days, sunlight touches the stones, briefly warming them before the clouds return. At midday, there is rest. Bread, cheese, perhaps a little wine. Conversations drift in many accents, men, recalling distant homes or speaking softly of families left behind. Then the rhythm resumes. Stone, mortar, labor. By evening, the work slows. The day's effort is visible, though modest, the wall just a little higher, the ditch a little deeper. Fires are lit once more, and stews of beans and barley are shared. The air cools, mist rises, and the camp grows quiet. Some men climb watchtowers, keeping their eyes on the land beyond. Others lie down, cloaks pulled close against the night. The sound of tools has faded, leaving only the hush of wind and the soft crackle of fire. And so ends a day. Not dramatic, not swift, but steady. Stone by stone, hour by hour, Hadrian's Wall slowly takes shape. To understand why this wall came to be, we must look to the emperor himself, Hadrian. He ruled the Roman Empire in the early 2nd century, a time when Rome stretched from the deserts of Africa to the forests of Germania. Unlike some emperors before him, Hadrian was not obsessed with endless expansion. He preferred consolidation, strengthening borders, making them firm and visible. Hadrian was a traveler. Few emperors journeyed as widely. He walked the streets of Athens, inspected troops in North Africa, and spent long months in the provinces. When he reached Britain around the year 122, he saw a frontier stretched thin, vulnerable to raids from the north. And so, he ordered a barrier, a wall across the narrowest part of the island, coast to coast. It was not only military, the wall also marked Rome's power. Clear lines stating, "Here is Rome, and beyond lies something other." For the soldiers who built it, the project must have felt endless. Yet for Hadrian, it was both practical and symbolic, a statement carved into the land itself. Imagine him visiting the works. His retinue moves with him, officials, guards, scribes. He walks among the stonecutters, pauses to look at the rising walls. The soldiers straighten when they see him, tools still in hand. For a brief moment, the emperor and the common laborer share the same air, the same northern wind. Then he passes on, leaving only the memory of his presence. Hadrian would not stay long in Britain. His journeys carried him elsewhere. But the wall remained, a vast legacy of his vision, carried out not by his hands, but by countless others. For those who laid the stones, his name may have been distant, a word in commands, a face glimpsed once. Yet their work and his ambition were bound together, stone by stone, into something that would last for centuries. Hadrian's Wall has never stopped whispering its secrets. Even now, nearly 2 millennia later, fragments of the lives once lived here continue to surface small, ordinary things that give shape to the past. Archaeologists have uncovered writing tablets buried in the soil, thin sheets of wood inscribed with ink, preserved by damp earth. On them are glimpses of everyday voices, requests for more beer, lists of supplies, notes from one soldier to another. One tablet holds an invitation to a birthday party, the oldest known letter in Latin, written by a woman in Britain. It is quiet evidence that life along the wall was not only stone and labor, but also friendship, longing, and the rhythms of human connection. Altars, too, have been found. Carved stones dedicated to Roman gods, to local spirits of rivers and hills, even to mysterious deities carried here from distant lands. Soldiers prayed before them, seeking protection from illness, fortune, in duty, or safe return to families far away. Then there are the remains of daily tools. Combs carved from bone, sandals worn thin at the sole, pots still faintly stained by meals long forgotten. These are not the treasures of kings, but the quiet possessions of ordinary men. Each one, when held in the hand, reminds us that the wall was built by people who laughed, complained, and grew weary, much like ourselves. And still, mysteries endure. Where exactly did all the stone come from? How quickly did sections rise? How many lives were lost to accidents, to weather, to sickness in the damp northern air? The wall does not answer directly. It waits in silence, its stones holding more than they reveal. Walking its length today, among ruins softened by moss and heather, you sense both presence and absence. The voices of the past are faint, but not gone. They linger in the soil, in the carved altars, in the writing tablets that once carried a soldier's hand. The mystery of the wall is not only in what it was, but in what remains just beyond our knowing. While common soldiers lifted stone and dug trenches, others lived with a different rhythm along the frontier. The officers and commanders who oversaw the wall enjoyed lives that contrasted sharply with the labor around them. In the larger forts, their quarters were spacious by comparison. Floors might be paved, walls painted with simple but bright designs. They dined on more than bread and porridge. Imported wine, olive oil, and spices arrived slowly along Roman roads, connecting this remote edge of empire to markets far away. Their meals might include roasted meats, garum fish sauce from the Mediterranean, and loaves baked with finer flour. Bathhouses were another mark of status. Heated rooms with warm pools allowed officers to bathe, to relax, and to hold conversations in comfort. The presence of such spaces, even here on the damp northern edge of Britain, reflected Rome's insistence that its culture and its luxuries could reach wherever the empire stretched. Commanders also lived in a world of administration. Scrolls and wax tablets filled with records, lists of rations, names of men on duty, the flow of supplies across the frontier. Their days were measured less by lifting stone and more by issuing orders, reading reports, and ensuring the emperor's vision took shape on the ground. And yet their lives too were shaped by the isolation. The wind blew into their quarters as surely as it did over the soldiers' tents. The northern horizon stretched before them, unknown and untamed. In the quiet hours of the night, even an officer, surrounded by comforts, may have felt the same weight of distance from Rome, from home, from the familiar. So the wall contained many worlds at once. The soldier with blistered hands, the officer riding by lamplight, the emperor far away whose name carried through every command. Together, their experiences formed the life of the frontier different, yet bound together by the same stones, rising slowly toward the sky. And so, as we step back from the wall, its long lines stretching across hills and valleys, we see more than stone. We see the quiet persistence of labor, the vision of an emperor, the small mysteries left in soil and inscription, and the contrasts of life along a distant frontier. For the men who lived it, the wall was not history. It was simply their days, lifting, cooking, standing watch, sharing meals, writing letters home. For us it is both ruin and monument, a reminder of time passing, of lives once steady and real. The stones that remain do not rush. They sit in silence, softened by moss, shaped by weather. In their endurance there is a lesson of patience, of slow work carried forward until it becomes lasting. As you return to the present, lying in your own quiet space, perhaps there is comfort in knowing that their world, so harsh and far away, has faded into gentleness. What remains is calm. The wall endures, and you may rest, without duty, without watch, in the peace of now.